With episode 90 in the books, we are only 10 episodes away from Dragon Ball Super episode 100, making this a landmark for the Dragon Ball series. But with that said, what are the good and the bad elements of Dragon Ball Super episode 90? Well, to answer your thoughts, alrighty guys, it is Qaaman here today giving you my good and bad breakdown of Dragon Ball Super episode 90. So without wasting any more time, let's get straight into this video. Now, starting off with the good elements, the first thing we should talk about is bonding. This episode managed to do a good job of putting Gohan, Piccolo, Goku, and Tien all in a fight together, which actually made it feel like a throwback training episode to the earlier elements of Dragon Ball, and that was really cool seeing Gohan actually teaming up with Piccolo as a teammate to fight against Goku and Tien. And the fact that Goku was chosen as the actual enemy in this training sequence to actually test Gohan's power really put the icing on the cake to truly testing Gohan's power, as Piccolo stated earlier in the episode that he had nothing left that he could actually do with him. The next element I should talk about is the fact that we see a transition in Gohan's character. He seemed very focused and determined in this episode, as he actually was willing to go through and challenge his father himself, and when Piccolo actually brought up that Gohan had to test his power against Goku, Gohan said yes, he was ready to do it, and that was a massive change from what we've seen before, where he didn't have as much confidence in his abilities. In addition to this episode had a generally good amount of character usage, with the episode being focused on 4 characters in Goku, Piccolo, Tien, and Gohan. In addition to making Master Roshi the referee, we got some good elements there. And in addition to this, later on we find out that there are some new characters that are coming into this mix, as we see Cuss, and we also see Ramushi from Universe 10 interacting with Gowasu. So it was very cool to see that this episode had a good amount of character usage, that had a good amount of screen time. And in conjunction with this, I feel like this episode managed to establish Universe 10 over again, because we'd only really seen Universe 10 as we saw Goku, Beerus and Whis visiting to go see Zamasu, as his energy signal was similar to Goku Black's earlier in the series. So it was good to also see Universe 10 coming into the mix once again. Now, in terms of action, I must say that the action for this episode was awesome. It was cool seeing how fast-paced this episode was in terms of how fast the punches and kicks were going against each other, how fast the energy blasts were going. It felt like a very fresh and renewed Dragon Ball fight, and we really haven't seen fights like this since we have seen the exhibition match. In addition to this, we really haven't seen fights like that since we really saw the Future Trunks Zamasu arc. So it was very cool to see a lot of the action, and in addition to that, it was also cool seeing the level of stakes, as we truly see Gohan and Goku pushing each other in this episode, in addition to Piccolo and Tien to a much lesser degree doing the same thing. And I really feel like the fact that Gohan was forcing Goku to power up continuously throughout the episode, as we see Goku going from Super Saiyan 2 and then powering up into a Super Saiyan Blue and then powering up into a Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken, that was really awesome to see that Gohan is actually bringing the best out of his father. And it was cool to see how when Goku powers up into a Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken, the whole world literally just like illuminates in blue, red, and purple colors, as we see, Vegeta is even aware of what's going on and he's acknowledging the fight. So that was very well executed in my opinion when it comes to the action sequences. Now, in terms of pacing, I would say this episode was fairly solid when it came to pacing. The episode didn't really feel like it wasted time, and the fights felt that they were moving and there weren't really any stalling points. Like, you didn't feel like they were just talking about their abilities. You felt the fight was moving over and over and over again. And I also feel like, although Goku dragged out the Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken, it felt that it was worth the wait, as you see Gohan was pushing his dad, and the episode was slowly transitioning into seeing Gohan bringing out the best in himself. So that was one great thing I would have to say about the pacing. And they also managed to squeeze in the Universe 10, side story with Gowasu into the episode as well. And I felt that that was very well paced. Now, for the conclusion of this episode, the climax showed us that Gohan was chosen as the captain for Universe 7, and you can see that Goku genuinely feels proud alongside Piccolo that Gohan managed to, redeem at least the element element of his fighting prowess once again. And it was also awesome to see that Goku as a father was acknowledging that, you know, he now has a son that he feels that he can, you know, spar with in the future, as Goku felt that he had to train with himself, as he didn't really feel that Gohan would have been as interested in fighting or worthy to really step his game up for the fighting elements of Dragon Ball Super. So it was really good to see that father-son connection, to see the level of confidence being put in Gohan himself, and to see how others now view Gohan differently, even if he's not naturally a fighter. Now, to conclude the good elements of this episode, what we learned is that Ramushi and Cus, being the name puns of Cusquena, which is a Peruvian bear, and Ramushi, which is based on rum, we learned that these characters are the God in Destruction and the Angel of Universe 10. Now, obviously, if you guys have been following spoilers, you would have already have known this. And we also find out that Murichem is a new fighter who will be participating in the Tournament of Power, fighting alongside Universe 10, and he seems to be a new fighter who's the typical brawn over brain character with a very large physique, and that was very interesting to compare his large physique with a lot of the other fighters that were in cloaks from Universe 10 in conjunction with Ramushi, who's also a larger character. So this is definitely a group of large fighters from this. It was also interesting to see Ramushi criticizing Gowasu's character, as he was criticizing the fact that he thinks way too much with his mind and not enough with his body. And I interpreted this as him not using his instincts enough, as we see back in the Future Trunks Zamasu arc that Gowasu was not aware of all of the stuff that Zamasu was doing, and he didn't use his instinct. He thought too much about it, and he thought too much about, you know, his pride in his apprentice, and that's why ultimately all of the events eventually played out, because Gowasu didn't use his instincts to single out what Zamasu's true plans were. So I felt that that was a very interesting thing. But to move on to the bad elements of this episode, we have a few things to talk about. Although I love the action sequences, I do think they could have done a better job of using tag team attacks. It felt like a 2v2, but it felt like a 2v2 where, hey, I fight this guy and you fight this guy. It didn't necessarily feel like, you know, Goku and Tien were fighting together or Gohan and Piccolo were fighting together. It's like they were having a 1v1 by themselves, and there was one small element where Gohan came in and hit Tien off guard, but I don't feel like that was enough to really illustrate what a battle royale would do, or what a true 2v2 would do, is you're really hitting both characters whenever you can, kind of like what you would do on a Super Smash Bros. Battle. In addition, I also feel like making Goku and Gohan dominate the fight too much took way too much away from Piccolo and Tien, and although Piccolo and Tien are weaker characters and they're not as strong as Goku and Gohan, to me, it just kind of takes away from the whole element of what an actual battle with stronger and weaker characters would do, as you have to give the weaker characters more relevance to the fight because of their useful techniques. Which brings up the fact that I feel like there was too much of a limited attack pool. What if you had tried something by having Piccolo grab Goku or grab Tien with his stretchy arms while Gohan tried to use an attack on them, and then if Piccolo's arm gets blown off, Piccolo can just regenerate it? I feel like they could have been more creative with that element. And last but not least, one other critique is that I think this episode is going to just create more power scaling confusion, as Gohan fighting against Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken Goku is going to make people think Gohan's way stronger than he thought. Just as last episode we saw Master Roshi fighting Tien makes people think Master Roshi is way stronger than we thought, and Android 17 fighting against Super Saiyan Blue Goku makes us think that Android 17 is way stronger than we thought, and Krillin holding his own with the Super Saiyan Blue Goku in that Kamehameha clash for a few seconds makes us think that Krillin is way stronger than we thought. And in addition to this, Piccolo fighting against Ultimate Gohan a few episodes makes us think that Piccolo is way stronger than we thought, and I think you guys kind of get the point of where I'm going with this. It's going to create more power scaling confusion, and the fact that Tien was holding his own a little bit too is going to create even more. So that's another thing I feel like Dragon Ball Super just has gone very crazy with, so much to the point where it's very comical. So ultimately, in terms of my criticisms, I think the biggest point I would have to say is that if you're going to make Goku and Gohan the centerpiece of the episode and to dominate that whole 1v1 battle, then just do that and not really try to make Piccolo and Tien seem like they're relevant in a 2v2 when in fact you kind of just threw them off to the side. Now, to talk about some interesting water cooler discussion points, What do you guys think Zamasu would have done if he was introduced at this particular point in the Dragon Ball Super series? Now, obviously, as an apprentice of Gowasu and, a future Supreme Kai, he wouldn't be involved with the whole Tournament of Power, but it would be interesting to see how he would react with all of these different mortals from all of these different universes being involved in the Tournament of Power, and would like to see your thoughts on that. Also, what do you guys think about Gohan's ceiling now? He mentions that he has more goals for his Ultimate Gohan form as he's not trying to use Super Saiyan anymore, which shows that he's definitely more ambitious about fighting. And in addition to this, I also think that Gohan losing is better because it shows that losing is going to push him more, and the fact that he has more goals says that he is considering really taking this serious once again. And even if he continues to, be a scholar and to continue having his real, job in life, fighting is definitely something he's truly considering for the benefit of others moving forward. And I kind of want to get your opinion on how strong you guys think he can get or what his aims are. And last but not least, guys, was I the only one who felt that this episode had a very hyperbolic time chamber vibe to it, as we see Goku and Gohan training, and we see Goku and Gohan having that Kamehameha clash, and Gohan is getting mad because Goku's not, giving him his all, and he's getting irritated and he wants Goku to push him, just like we saw in the hyperbolic time chamber versions of the anime of Dragon Ball, where, Gohan was getting frustrated as he felt Goku needed to go Super Saiyan to really push his abilities and to bring the best out of him. And I felt that that was a very good throwback to earlier Dragon Ball Z. Now, in terms of my episode 91 preview analysis, we see some interesting things. We see Frost and Hit. Now, considering that both Frost and Hit are from Universe 6, and it seems like Frost is trying to hit, as we see the background looks similar for both Frost and Hit, it looks like this could be some type of training sequence between both of them, as we saw in the Universe 6 tournament that there's clearly some type of connection between both Frost and Hit as two individuals from that universe specifically. We also see Zeno, and it looks like he's getting excited for this Tournament of Power, getting ready, as he was showing some excitement with his facial expressions. And unfortunately, although there's going to be some mixed opinions on the matter, we're hearing Goku saying that Majin Buu, something weird is going on with him. For those of you who've been seeing spoilers, you know exactly what's going on. Majin Buu is going to be exempt from this tournament. This is pretty much general news. It's not really a spoiler anymore. How could you not know this by this point? So that looks like we're going to start seeing that kind of unraveling out. And also we see Basil from Universe 9, and we also see Casserole from Universe 11. So this is all pretty much setting up the fact that all of these guys are getting prepared. This looks like it's going to be a preparation episode, as Goku was talking about. They have to have a strategic meeting. So there's where all of the meetings between all of the main members of this is going to come into place. I think it's going to be a very cerebral, talkative episode, and it's not going to be something very action-packed. I should also point out that I noticed that there was a girl with green hair standing in front of what appears to be two people in a very vibrant, colorful, electric city in the background, and it definitely seems like this may be a girl from another universe, and they wouldn't have put her in the preview if she didn't have anything to do with the next episode. So she seems to be an interesting, mysterious looking character. But overall, guys, I would have to say that episode 90 is a 5. This has been one of my favorite episodes of Dragon Ball Super. It has a great replay value, and it wasn't perfect, but it had stakes, interesting new characters, and a massive change in how Gohan is perceived. Although I'm not one who believes Gohan has any glory to regain, as I never felt he was a fighter naturally on his own accord, I think this is the Gohan that many people have wanted to see. And tell me in the comment section below as my final question for you guys. Are you satisfied with what Dragon Ball Super is doing, and is this the Gohan you truly want to see? Let me know, as I will be responding to a lot of your comments. So with everything else said, please remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. And remember, as I always say, to have a great day, guys.